This year, I've had my hands on some of the best smart telescopes available. In my opinion, right now, there are 10 good smart telescopes on the market. There's one more coming soon to add an 11th to that list. All of these models are good, and they're going to have different pros and cons. Now, what I like to do is break these down into 3 price brackets. So budget, premium, and ultra premium. So for budget smart telescopes, you have 4 options. You have the Dwarflab Dwarf 3, which has just come out in late 2024 to replace the Dwarf 2, which was excellent, very small portable smart telescope. It's an upgrade over the Dwarf 2. It has a better telescope, a better camera, but they preserved the portability, size and weight that was so great about the Dwarf 2. The other great option is the ZWO Seestar S50, which is the main competitor to the Dwarf 2/Dwarf 3. It's a bit bigger, but it does have higher specs, but it's also fairly small and light. The other 2 models I want to mention are the Vaonis Hestia. That's not actually a smart telescope. It's a small device that you use with your smartphone. So you take advantage of your smartphone's camera. It's very good at taking photos of the sun and the moon, and it's fun, it's light, it's portable, but it's not got that tracking of deep sky objects. The last one to mention is the Seestar S30, which is a smaller Seestar model. The clue is in the name of S30. It will have a 30mm aperture telescope, which is exactly the same as the Dwarf 3. But right now, if you're looking for what to buy around $500, your best bet is probably the Dwarf 3, because it's brand new and it's very good. The only asterisk on that is whether you can get it delivered before Christmas, if that's what you're aiming for. So right now it's available, it's shipping, but you'd have to check when ordering when it's going to come, because the current shipping times are somewhat delayed because it's only just released. The other option is the Seestar, which is now a tiny bit older, only 2023, but is available and is very good. So you can't really go wrong with those 2 options. The main pros and cons between them would be Seestar S50's slightly higher spec. The Dwarf 3 is more smaller and more portable, but they're both really good. Now, moving on to the premium bracket, these are models between 1.7K US dollars and 2.5K. So you've got 3 models in this bracket. So the Vaonis Vespera 2 is the cheapest of these, released brand new in 2024. It's a pretty sexy telescope. The Unistellar Odyssey is also brand new in 2024. If you take away the price, it's fairly close between those 2. The Unistellar Odyssey has a higher aperture telescope. The Vespera 2 has a higher resolution camera. The Odyssey is smaller and lighter. And I found in my experience, that I've had both of them this year, I found the Unistellar models easier to use. They connected better and it was easier to initialize and just much slicker. But that was just my opinion. With the Vespera 2 being the price it is, it makes it a great option for a premium smart telescope if you want more than the budget options, but you're not going to stretch to the 4 or 5K of the ultra premium ones. The third option in this bucket is the Equinox 2 from Unistellar. Slightly older now. It's not that old, but slightly older. It's higher spec compared to the Unistellar Odyssey, but it does require what's called collimation, so it needs a form of adjustment. Not that hard, and you can follow tutorials, but it's a bit of a barrier to that grab and go nature if you've not done it before or even know when you need to do it. For most people, if you just want a great grab and go telescope, I'd go either Vespera 2 or Odyssey, depending on your budget and how much you value size. Now, the ultra premium models, which are going from $3,000 to $5,000, these are the top of the range. So there's 4 in this bracket. Unistellar Odyssey Pro and Evscope 2 have eyepieces. They're the only 2 smart telescope models that have eyepieces. These are pretty awesome. When I had the Unistellar Odyssey Pro, I genuinely really liked that I could look through and see through the telescope rather than just looking at my screen. And what I think is really good is if you think you might use this with friends, family, you might have it on a balcony, rooftop garden, and you want to show it off, it's really good to have that eyepiece, because you say look through there and you can see this galaxy, this nebula, and it's pretty mind-blowing. Passing your phone around to look at the screen, it's not quite as impressive. And if you compare those 2, it's the Unistellar Odyssey Pro is smaller, lighter, easier to use because it doesn't require the collimation. versus the Evscope 2 is bigger, heavier, a bit older, a bit more expensive, but it is higher spec. So you weigh up those two. Most people, if they just want the quickest, simplest option, top of the range, Unistellar Odyssey Pro is for you. If you're comfortable with collimation, then Evscope 2 might be good for you because you get that higher spec. The other options, the Vaonis Vespera Pro, another great new 2024 option. Same size as the Vespera 2, but with a higher resolution camera. In fact, it's the highest resolution camera of any smart telescope on the market. So it's a great option if you're really focused on the imaging aspect of having a smart telescope. And then the alternative to that is the Celestron Origin, which is brand new. Celestron's first foray into smart telescopes. And this is the top of the range in terms of astrophotography capacity. So it has a 6-inch Celestron Raza CT telescope. It has a good camera. It has the mount from the Celestron NextStar Evolution telescope. It's got all those credentials for great imaging. The downside to it is it's much bigger and heavier than any other smart telescope. It's twice the size of the nearest competitor, or twice the weight. If you're picking between those two for the best imaging ones, you've really just got to weigh up the size and weight factor. So if you prefer something smaller and more portable, then the Vespera Pro might be for you. If you're going to have it perhaps in one fixed space and use it mostly in that same place, then Celestron Origin probably is for you. So quick recap on my top picks. Budget option, Dwarf 3 if you can get it. Seestar S50 still really good. Seestar S30, we're not sure when it's coming out. Pre-orders it says from November, but I don't know if it's coming this side of Christmas. Premium bracket, the Vespera is great value. Unistellar Odyssey is great if you have a bit more budget and you just want that great ease of use. And then the premium one, Unistellar Odyssey Pro, really easy to use, really good if you want to show off that eyepiece and use it with others. If you want a more serious imaging one, then the Celestron Origin is probably the biggest to go for, but you could also consider the Vespera Pro.